صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and His choicest blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In our previous discussion, we started the deviation of different sects, how it happened, how different followers of different sects, how different communities, and how different schools of thought were misled by shaitan. And we started with the one of the ancient sects, that is Sophists, and they were among the Greeks. And we discussed about them that their main argument is that there is nothing real in this world. Reality is altogether relative, it's not absolute. So there is nothing absolute in this world. So we can say a kind of skepticism, they develop a kind of skepticism about everything. So their main objective is that once their main objective is to defy each and every tradition. They don't believe in any sort of tradition. Rather, they believe we can say the things are relative. Truth is relative. Then we discuss the rebuttal to this argument. Imam Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah has mentioned that Abul Qasim al-Balkhi rahimahullah, he was one of the scholars. He said that a sophist came to debate a scholar. So there was a debate between the sophist and a scholar, a Muslim scholar. And we know that in Islam we believe that there are certain realities. We cannot deny it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the absolute reality of this universe. And the things that exist, it has a reality. So we cannot deny these things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created each and everything. And then when we believe in the existence of God, existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not just as a blind following. It's on the basis of concrete evidences. We believe in the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we say there is absolute reality, it's not on the basis of our wishful thinking. Rather, there are concrete evidences behind it. However, the sophists, shaitan, made them to think that there is nothing real. So a sophist came to debate with a scholar, and Abul Qasim al-Balkhi rahimahullah narrates this episode. When he came to visit the scholar, the sophist went out to look for his ride and found that it was missing. He rode the animal, he rode his horse or something else to reach the scholar. Once he entered the room of the scholar, so he thought whether he has tied the animal or not. So he came out to see, and what he found, that animal was missing. So he went back inside saying, "My ride was stolen." The scholar, the Muslim scholar, said, "Perhaps you did not come riding." He responded, "Yes, I did. I came here, I know I rode the animal." The scholar said, "Try to think in order to make sure of that." The sophist replied, "I am certain of this. I know I came." And he said, "Try to remember." The sophist, he said, "There is no room for remembering. I have no doubt that I came riding." Then the scholar said, "Then how could you claim that there is no reality to things? And that an awake person and a sleeping person are the same? That's how do they define the things?" So the sophist was speechless, he had no answer, and reverted away from his doctrine. Because there are certain fundamental things which you cannot deny. Denial of these fundamental things means that a person is denying the absolute truth. So then there are different schools within the sophists. Imam Abu Muhammad Nawbakhti said, a group of ignorant people claimed that things do not have only a single reality to them. Instead, things have multiple realities according to the people's perspective, people's perception. For example, honey is sweet to most people. Most of the people say that honey is sweet, but bitter to those suffering from disease. There are different kinds of the patients. If they are struck with a specific kind of disease, they cannot feel the sweetness of honey. Rather, they think that the honey, when they taste the honey, it appears to be bitter. But it's not the bitterness. So they say actually, whether honey is sweet or it is bitter, it depends upon the perception of a person. Similarly, they say this world is ancient and has always existed to those who believe in its antiquity, and accidental to those who believe it is accidental. Because regarding this universe, there are two arguments: whether this existed of its own from without any beginning, or this was created. This came into being at a certain point of time. Likewise, colors are bodies, physical creatures to those who believe they are bodies, and qualities only attributes to those who believe they are qualities. So what they maintain is that there is nothing real. Rather, things are being defined by the different perspectives. When a person is, and definition depends upon the perception of a person. Whatever perception you have with you, so likewise you will define the other things. So it means that there is nothing stable, there is nothing absolute. Rather, everything is fragile. Everything is altogether, we can say, unabsolute or temporary. So there is no any reality at all. And as far as this sect is concerned, Imam Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he says our response is what you say true? So we ask them, is what they say that a single event can be interpreted through many ways. Now it depends upon the perception of a person, how he interprets that particular event. And Imam Ibn Jawzi says rahimahullah, we can ask such a person, is what you say true? Means their argument. They will surely answer, it is true to us, but false to those who disagree with us. So we respond, your claim that your opinion is true is not true in itself. You rebuttal your argument of your own, and your confession that your opinion is false to your opponents is proof against you. And whoever confirms that his opinion is false to his opponents, then he has saved his opponents the efforts of proving the falsehood of his opinion. When you yourself say simply that your opinion is false according to other people, according to your opponents, so they don't have to prove that you're wrong. You yourself give them the approval that yes, you have the right to defy them, to falsify them. So how come your own opinion is based on the truth? And there is another way to approach these people. That is, do you confirm a reality to that which you observe? If they say no, then they are of the same opinion as that of the first group, that is sophists, the mainstream sophists, who doesn't believe that there is anything real. If they say the reality of what is observed is relative according to the observers, then they have denied it is reality. Their own claim is not based on the reality. So it is all false. Their claim is itself false, and they falsify their own claim. And thus we discuss with them in the same manner that we discuss with the second group. Imam Nawbakhti says, rahimahullah, another group of sophists said, the world is constantly melting and flowing. So it is impossible for a human to contemplate about the same issue twice, because things are constantly changing. It's another one of the sects of the sophists. And the simple response to these people is, then how could you have known this when you deny all that generates knowledge? Perhaps the person to whom we are talking now is not the same person we spoke to earlier. Therefore, when everything is changing, so how can we believe that the person you are talking to is the same one you talked to earlier, you spoke to earlier? Therefore, all these things, Shaitan made them. Actually, the main cause of their deviance is that they relied upon the reason bluntly and blindly. I always say that reason is very important. And there are many verses in the Quran which encourage us to use our reason, to use our mental capabilities, to use our intellectual faculties. There are many verses Quran addresses. Afala ta'qilun. Don't you use your reason? Ya ayat li ulil albab. There are many signs for the men of reason. Ulun nuha. Another term is used for the men of intellect. Ulun nuha. Those who use their reason properly, they make effective use of the reason. But the question is there any guiding value for the reason, or it is absolutely open-ended? It is free to think the way it wishes. No, there are certain, we must know that reason is not absolutely the only source which helps a person to arrive at a specific conclusion, and that conclusion will be absolutely perfect. Reason helps a person a lot, there is no doubt about it. And even in Islam, if a person is not able to exercise his reason, he is not able to use his reason, say a person happened to be insane, or a person is in a state of unconsciousness, the Islamic Sharia doesn't apply to him. The first and foremost criterion, the first and foremost condition rather, for the application of Deen, for the application of Sharia, for the application of Islam, is that a person must be must be having the sound reason. He must possess the sound reason. Then and only then the application of Sharia will be applied upon him. Otherwise, there is no application of Sharia if there is no reason or no capability to use the reason. So, as I said, so there are many verses in the Quran, but the problem with these people, it's not only with the sophists. Now, the second group we are going to discuss is the atheists, the naturalists. The problem with them is that they think the apex of source of knowledge is reason. Undoubtedly, reason helps us to a larger extent, but there are certain limitations to reason. There are certain flaws and shortcomings with the reason. And there we need to find out another source of knowledge. That's the wahyu. So now we discuss about another sect who were misled by the shaitan. They went to the extent that they denied the existence of God itself. They said the whole universe, it is just the grisly and ghastly dance of the atoms and ions. Blind energy made it possible. Soulless, senseless, reasonless, intellect-less energy made it all possible. So the argument, they have many arguments, and there is we can say, a satiating rebuttal also for this. Now we discuss about another sect, that is atheists. Iblis has deceived many people to believe that there is no God or creator. And that all things came into existence without a maker, without a creator. These people denied Allah's existence because they failed to sense Him with their senses and failed to use their intellect to recognize Him. Could any person with a sound mind doubt the existence of a maker? If a person passes by a piece of land with no buildings, there is no structure built on it, it's just a vacant piece of land. Then after some time he returned to find what he finds. He finds a wall built over there. He would realize that there must have been a builder who built the wall. Simple. Because the wall, the bricks, the sand, the cement, the water would not come of its own spontaneously, and the bricks started just jumping over one another and the wall came into being. Not possible. And this wide expanse of this wide earth, this huge universe, the raised high ceiling, that is the sky in the heavens, and these amazing buildings and these running laws that imply wisdom, do not they prove the existence of a creator? There's a beautiful Arabic couplet, إِنَّ الْبَعْرَةَ تَدُلُّ عَلَى الْبَعِيرِ وَأَثَرُ الْقَدِمِ يَدُلُّ عَلَى الْقَادِمِ أثر القدم يدل على القادم وإن البعرة يدل على البعير أليس هذا الكون الأرض والسماوات يدل على الخبير على العليم الخبير, which means that the dropping of a sheep, the dropping of the animal, the excrete of the animal, or the droppings of the sheep, it leads a person to think that sheep exist, the animal exists. When we see the excrete of an animal, so it is enough evidence that animal exists. And when we see the footstep, when we see the impression of a foot, so it is enough evidence for us to believe that foot exists. So how insane, how crazy it is to say that, okay, this dropping exists, but sheep doesn't exist. The cause of this dropping, the animal, the excrete exist, but the animal itself, who was the cause, major cause, the only cause for the existence of this excrete, and he doesn't exist. The impression of the foot exists, but the foot itself, which was the cause of this impression, which was the cause of this footprint, that doesn't exist. This is good in fiction. Footprint without foot, footprint without feet was long back. I came across with a short story. Footprint without feet. It can be a fiction. It can be a utopia. But as long as living in this present practical world is concerned, this argument doesn't hold the water. It doesn't have enough evidence to stand of its own. You see, simply Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ. Soon we shall show them the signs, fil afaq, in the horizons, in this universe, wafi anfusihim, in their own selves, until it becomes manifested to them that this is a true message of God, this is a true message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In any single branch of knowledge, there are hundreds of branches of knowledge nowadays. We are living in an age which is commonly known as the age of knowledge. And there's explosion of knowledge, because every now and then different fields are emerging. New fields of knowledge are discovered. And when you focus on any field of knowledge, any discipline of knowledge, and it unmasks amazing realities, we discover enormous baffling things in that particular discipline of knowledge. If we just apparently, ostensibly, if we just reflect upon our own creation, Imam Ibn Jawzi says, rahimahullah, if a person ponders on the sharpness of the teeth, simply we have the teeth, and you see how it has been beautifully patterned and designed, and a set of teeth, they are sharpened, they are very sharp. And if you ponder on the sharpness of teeth to enable you to chop the food, the flatness of molars to grind the food, the tongue that rotates what's being chewed, the liver that ripens the food, how nutrition flows to each part of the body as needed, these fingers that have knuckles so they can bend and open to perform work, they never become hollow from work, otherwise they would break. How some fingers are longer than others so that all become the same in length when bent, and how the most hidden of the body is that which holds it together, the soul. Once it goes, the body becomes corrupt, body becomes motionless. And intellect that leads to welfare community, whoever ponders on all of these things must surely call, can there be any doubt about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Afillahi shak fatir samawati wal ard. Is there any doubt in the creation, in the existence of the creator of this universe?